Oh God, I like to see that happen.
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
like to see
saying.
that happen. So listen, what do you think? Because I had I like to call it a discussion or a debate. What do you think about people thinking about you're not really, what's that word, relevant and stuff, you're not a real fighter? 'Cause I had a discussion with somebody about that, and they said I was using the wrong word as saving boxing. And he had also said if I had another opportunity to change that word, I would have.
Mike Tyson recently went on Jake Paul's podcast and he completely destroyed him. Tyson, known for his brutally honest and intense demeanor, did not hold back as he dismantled Paul's confidence with a series of pointed remarks. He questioned Paul's ability to stand toe-to-toe with a seasoned boxer like himself and made it clear that he is still a formidable force in the ring despite his age. Tyson's words seemed to rattle Paul, who is preparing for what could be the most challenging fight of his career.
I had to write him back and explain to him, you never drew 100 million people or 70 million people to the fight, have you? And you're a professional champ. You're a champ of the world, and you've never been able to do that. So that means he's helping boxing. You never helped boxing before. Boxing helped you.
Tyson, emphasizing his experience and skill, suggested that Paul might be underestimating what it means to face a fighter of his caliber. The podcast turned into a psychological battleground, with Tyson playing mind games, asserting his dominance, and reminding everyone that despite the social media hype, boxing is a sport that requires years of dedication and discipline, attributes Tyson embodies fully. The interaction has fueled even more anticipation for their match, as fans are now more eager than ever to see how Paul will respond to Tyson's challenges in the ring. The fight, already billed as one of the most talked about events of the year, has taken on new intensity with Tyson's assertive statements, setting the stage for an epic showdown.
And so that's changing the game. Do you think you're changing boxing? Do you think you're bringing a different demographics to boxing?
Yeah, I think shining a new light on it and promoting it in a different way and bringing a new fan base to it that didn't really care, and a big new fan base. You know, like my built-in followings are around like 75 million, 80 million, and so they're all now getting exposed to boxing for the first time and falling in love with it because of my story, because they care about me, as well as other influencers. And it's this whole movement where this new generation of kids now all of a sudden cares about fighting. They care about training. They care about the technique, the jab. Like, how is he throwing? How is he looking? How is his cardio? How is his stamina? Who are his coaches?
Mike Tyson's much-anticipated bout against Jake Paul remains scheduled for November 15th, though worries about the 58-year-old's well-being continue to grow. Reports indicate that Tyson's medical evaluation is slated just a day before the fight, raising further concerns. Originally set for July, the fight was delayed when Tyson experienced a health scare in May, sparking concerns about whether he should even consider stepping back into the ring. Fans have expressed growing concern due to Tyson's age and recent health challenges. There was widespread anticipation that Texas licensing regulators would monitor the boxing icon closely in the lead-up to the fight. According to World Boxing News, Tyson's official medical evaluation is set to happen only 24 hours before the event, creating the possibility of a last-minute cancellation if significant issues surface. If regulators find him unfit to compete, the bout could either be reduced to an exhibition match or canceled entirely. Tyson remains confident despite the concerns. Assuring his fans, he expressed his readiness to take on Paul, emphasizing that his preparation is progressing smoothly. Despite a medical emergency earlier in the year, where Tyson grew dizzy and required paramedic care after a flight from Miami to Los Angeles, his confidence remains unwavering. 2 months ahead of the scheduled fight, a medical scare underscored the inherent dangers of Tyson's comeback to the boxing ring. The former heavyweight champion has fully committed to his intense training regimen, going as far as giving up marijuana, which is prohibited by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and abstaining from sex, all in an effort to optimize his performance for the upcoming fight night. Although Iron Mike's PR team claimed he had made a full recovery, additional medical evaluations determined he was unfit to compete this summer. Mike Perry stepped up as a last-minute replacement for the former undisputed heavyweight champion on the scheduled date, but was halted in the 6th round. Meanwhile, the Paul vs. Tyson fight was rescheduled for November 15th. There are worries about Tyson's health as he prepares to take on an opponent 31 years younger than him. However, Paul asserts that the 58-year-old is in excellent condition. The problem child is so assured that his bout with Tyson will proceed that he hasn't even bothered to line up an alternative opponent. Paul told TMZ when asked about the situation, "I don't have concern. He's doing great. He's super healthy behind the scenes and feeling great. So that's what we are focusing on, and there is not a backup currently. The Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation has officially approved the bout, or FORI, between Paul and Tyson as a professional heavyweight fight. It will be challenged nevertheless using a revised set of rules. The bout will feature 8 rounds of 2 minutes each, a departure from the standard 3-minute rounds. Additionally, both fighters will don 14-ounce gloves, as opposed to the typical 10-ounce ones. Knockouts are permitted, and the outcome of the match will be recorded on the professional records of both men. Since losing to Kevin McBride in June 2005, Tyson has not participated in any professional competitions. The Irishman floored Iron Mike until the end of the 6th round, at which point he retired on his stool. In an open interview that followed, Tyson said, "I realized that I don't think I have it anymore. I've got the ability to stay in shape, but I don't got the fighting guts anymore. I'm just fighting to take care of my bills, basically." He further added, "I don't have the stomach for this no more. I'm more conscious of my children. I don't have that ferocity. I'm not that animal anymore. Most likely I'm not going to fight again. I'm not going to disrespect the sport by losing to these caliber of fighters." After 19 years, Tyson steps back into the ring to face Paul, a bout that his ex-sparring partner Joe Egan has described as nothing more than a pompous practice match. Jake Paul has probably boxed as Mike Tyson on Nintendo and Game Boy a million times, and now he's getting to share the ring with one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. For me, it's going to be a glorified sparring session. When Mike boxed Roy Jones Jr., he hit Roy with a body shot and sunk him, and Mike knew he could hurt Roy Jones, Egan told TalkSport.com. He further added, "Anybody that Mike hits is going to hurt, probably knock out as well, but he carried Roy Jones. I never believed Mike Tyson could carry anybody because when I sparred him at Catskill, every punch he threw was with bad intentions. He was a vicious, ferocious, savage heavyweight. To see him mellow with age is wonderful, and to see what he did with Roy Jones is incredible." Egan mentioned that Jake Paul was on the undercard and likely felt confident after seeing Mike Tyson pull his punches. He expressed admiration for Paul getting in the ring with Tyson, but doubted that Tyson would go full force on him. Egan added that if Tyson did go full force, he believed it could seriously hurt Paul, regardless of their age difference. Egan added, "Mike will have lost a lot of speed with age, but he won't have lost his power, and George Foreman showed that when he knocked out Michael Moorer in the 10th round at 45 years of age. As soon as Michael Moorer slowed down, George knocked him out. The power is always going to be there, but the speed will diminish." Tyson has been working hard to silence his critics, regularly sharing training clips from his camp as he gears up for a comeback in the ring. Since ending his professional career, he has engaged in combat, most notably an exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020. Eddie Hearn, the head of Matchroom, is not a fan of the bout. "For me, it's really sad because Mike Tyson was one of my idols growing up, and to see him fighting at 57, 58. But I also understand that a lot of people are going to tune in and watch." Hearn further added, "It's an entertainment event, Netflix. Great to see them involved in boxing. I think it will do really well, but it's just not really one for me. I don't think you should be fighting at 57 years old, but also the guy was one of the greatest ever fighters. Why do you want to go in at 5% of what you were and lose to a guy like Jake Paul? He shouldn't have to do that. But the world is the world we live in." Paul is expected to enter as the frontrunner, thanks to his prime physical condition at 27. However, there's a strong belief that Tyson still has the potential to land one last knockout punch. Francis Ngannou is not afraid to tell Jake Paul straight out that he is not going to beat Mike Tyson. Tyson, who played a crucial role in Ngannou's preparation for his boxing debut against Tyson Fury, saw Fury narrowly secure a win despite being knocked down by Ngannou. Influenced by his training with Tyson, Ngannou is confident he will deliver a knockout blow to Paul. Ngannou told Paul on BS with Jake Paul that he believed Tyson would beat him. He mentioned having seen Tyson move around and show him things, noting that Tyson still had it. Ngannou emphasized that they were talking about Mike Tyson, describing him as something else and a specimen. He warned Paul to watch out for everything, as Tyson could move from one side to the other without him knowing exactly when.
You said that you think Mike Tyson's gonna beat my ass.
Yeah. Listen, I've seen how Tyson moves around, just like to show me stuff. He was like this footwork moving, like you move like this, and I'm like, hold on, like, you know, calm down. You know, Mike will move from this side to this side without you knowing exactly at which moment.
He's fat. So what do I have to watch out for?
Like
So what do I have to watch out for?
everything. I mean, knowing Mike, I just believe that Mike would beat him.
After Paul secured a TKO victory over Mike Perry in their boxing match last July, he set his sights on UFC light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira. While Pereira accepted the challenge, Ngannou issued a cautionary note about Poatan's formidable skills. Ngannou said of Pereira, "He's tough. He has some tough hands. I think you're going to get some tough nights. This guy is big, solid, and he's mean. He walks straight to you like, I'm going to eat this guy." Before the original date was delayed due to medical concerns involving Iron Mike, former two-weight world champion Andre Ward discussed the advantages and disadvantages of the bout in an interview with Fight Hub TV. He said, "That's a spectacle. I'm going to watch it. I don't know. I see people on both sides. Mike shouldn't be in there, and it's like maybe not, but if there's a 58-year-old that I'm not too concerned about, it's probably Mike Tyson. It is risky. I had a writer text me another day telling me how risky it was, and I'm like, well, Mike's life is risky. He's been risky from since he'd been a kid until now. Boxing is risky." Ward further added, "How you gonna tell a man who's hardwired like Mike Tyson that he shouldn't get a fight like that? It's gonna produce tens of millions of dollars. You can't tell him he ain't got a shot in that fight. I don't really know where I stand on it. I'm gonna watch it." Jake and his team are very strategic. They're picking the right names and they get bigger and bigger. I don't really have a hard take on it. I'm gonna watch it for better or for worse. In a separate chat with the Spit Bucket podcast, Ward described the bout as a thrilling fight, but noted that Tyson's body no longer reacts to the blows in the same way it did during his peak professional years. Ward has previously expressed his respect for crossover boxing, noting that he holds no animosity towards it. He commended both Paul and Logan for their tenacity and spirit. Ward also mentioned that he's prepared to come out of retirement to fight one of them if the right opportunity presents itself, staying in peak condition to ensure a quick 7 or 8 week preparation period. Tyson has brushed off any critique, firmly believing he will overcome Paul, who boasts a record of 10 victories and just 1 defeat, with most of his wins coming against former MMA fighters. However, Mike Tyson should not have fought Jake Paul, according to Joe Rogan. Nevertheless, Rogan supports Tyson's choice despite having many concerns about his form. Rogan said on a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, "I wish he didn't do it. I wish it wasn't a thing. I wish it wasn't a thing where a 58-year-old guy was going to fight a 28-year-old. That said, I fully support his desire to do it." What? Is he going to live forever? No, he's not going to live forever. Maybe he wants one more shot at it. Maybe his body can do one more fight. I don't know. Rogan further added, "He looks great on the mitts, but I can look good on the mitts, especially if you're watching 30-second clips. What you want to see is him sparring. You want to see him hitting the bag for multiple rounds. Let's see 3 rounds hard on the bag. I want to see what you can do. I want to see how your feet move. I want to see what it looks like if you're off balance when you're throwing combinations." Rogan is equally worried about Tyson's health. As mentioned before, the fight against Paul, initially set for July, was delayed due to Tyson suffering a flare-up of an ulcer. Rogan said, "It's not like he doesn't know how to put his knuckles on your face. The question is, how much does he have left in his body? 58 years old today is not 58 when I was 21. It's a different 58, especially if they're not testing it." Eddie Hearn believes that a victory by Jake Paul over Mike Tyson would be a travesty for boxing, tarnishing the sport's reputation among genuine fans. As Netflix embarks on its inaugural live boxing event, Paul and Tyson are set to divide a substantial prize pool of $80 million. While the bout is anticipated to attract millions of viewers and become a memorable spectacle, promoter Hearn worries that it might tarnish the sport's reputation. Hearn added, "I don't think there's one boxing person that really wants this fight to happen. So they're looking at it from a different angle. They're looking at it from numbers. They're looking to it for hype, and I get it. I understand that this freak show may well do good numbers." He further added, "But I think if you genuinely care about the sport and the history of the sport, and particularly the legacy of one of the greatest fighters of all time, it's not something you'd ever consider. But I understand their strategy and the business, and if it does numbers, they don't really care how it looks in terms of the empathy of it. I don't think it's ever something you'd see a real boxing person get involved with." Tyson hung up his gloves in 2005, following a string of crushing defeats and personal struggles. However, by 2020, he made a notable return, stepping into the ring for an exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. While that bout was more of a high-profile sparring session, the upcoming fight against Paul is expected to be a different story. This time, Tyson will face more rigorous scrutiny, including extensive brain and heart tests due to his age, alongside the mandatory tests for both fighters. Paul boasts a 10-1 record, his sole defeat coming in 2023 against Tommy Fury, Tyson's younger brother. Despite the respect Tyson has for Paul, the challenge will be to overcome the expectations and concerns from fans and experts alike, including Hearn. It's just a different world, isn't it? This new generation. But good luck to him. I'm sure it will do good numbers, and hopefully Mike Tyson doesn't get hurt because it would be a travesty for boxing, he said. Even with his ongoing health challenges, such as sciatica that occasionally forces him to rely on a walking stick, Tyson remained steadfast in his dedication to the fight. When questioned about Tyson's health and the potential need for a replacement, Jake Paul confidently stated that he has no worries and is committed to proceeding with the fight as scheduled. Tyson reassured everyone about his health, clarifying that his choice to participate was solely his own, free from any external influence. Tyson said, "Bet your life on it. I'm just looking forward to this. This is something that I would say ignites me. It just gives me a life for myself. It's life within myself. It's just me doing what I want to do. Forget everybody else. Forget if they wish I'd lose-win. It's about me doing what I want to do. Forget what my wife and kids are like, thinking about just this one moment. Just stick with me and don't feel sorry for me. Don't worry about me. That's all." Tyson, speaking about his fight with Jake, mentioned that it had nothing to do with his kids and was entirely about him. He reflected on whether it might be his ego driving him, where he disregarded the risks to his health and everyone else. Tyson noted that his family knew he was that way before they married him, when they had kids, and throughout their childhood, and that he would always be the same. Tyson said, "I'm always going to test myself. I'm always going to push the envelope. I'm always very nervous and apprehensive until it gets closer to the fight. Then, I understand this is reality. I've been through this many times and I know how to handle this situation." When Jake Paul and Mike Tyson square off in the ring this winter, Elle Brooke has stated that she hopes Jake Paul wins. At 27, Paul carved out his reputation through platforms like Vine and YouTube before switching gears to boxing in 2020. On his debut, he impressively knocked out fellow content creator Anisan Jib in the first round. While he's now recognized more for his formidable power and speed in the ring, Paul has built an impressive boxing record of 9-1, with his sole defeat being a surprising split decision loss to Tommy Fury in February of the previous year. Much like Paul, 26-year-old TikTok sensation Brooke has been carving out her own path in professional boxing since her debut victory against AJ Bunker in 2022. Now preparing to face BKFC standout Jenny Savage at the Utilita Arena in Newcastle on September 14th, Brooke has also been closely following the Paul vs. Tyson matchup as a passionate fan of the sport. In a recent exclusive conversation with Mirror Fighting, Brooke revealed her hope that Paul will manage to knock out former heavyweight boxing champion Tyson when they finally face off in the ring. When asked how Paul gets the win over a far more experienced opponent, Brooke said, "By being the younger, fitter person, that's how he gets it done. Poor Mike Tyson has already had to pull out once. I just think Jake is younger, fitter, and stronger, especially in the heavyweight division. It's not necessarily about skill, but when you have speed because of youth, I think that will come into play. Do I think he's going to knock him out? Realistically, I'm not sure." Brooke further added, "I hope he does to make a statement because a lot of people are going to be doubting him, but then he's going to get a lot of stick. You knocked out a 60-year-old. What does that prove? So Jake cannot win." At 58 years old, Tyson is a far cry from the powerhouse he once was. He retired from professional boxing in June 2005, with the exception of a 2020 exhibition match against Roy Jones Jr. This bout, lasting 8 rounds, ended in a draw. Despite Paul's impressive record of high-profile victories in professional boxing, which includes triumphs over former UFC champions Tyrone Woodley, Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, and Ben Askren, he has faced criticism for frequently taking on older opponents who many consider to be past their prime. 2 years ago, Silva, then 47, suffered a unanimous decision defeat against Paul, and Diaz, at 38, was hardly in his prime. Woodley, aged 39, faced a knockout in their 2021 rematch, getting floored by a powerful right hook in the 6th round before crashing face first onto the canvas. Judging by the buzz surrounding Mike Tyson's latest social media update, Jake Paul might be facing a tough challenge this November. Even though the event is still a few months off, a recent Instagram post from Tyson has sparked a wave of nostalgic excitement among fans. Now he asserts that he's in peak condition and eager to demonstrate to the problem child who the real issue is. To make this point clear, Tyson took to Instagram to share this image. Earlier today, the youngest heavyweight champion ever posted a compelling image of himself. Drenched in sweat, wearing a soaked t-shirt and boxing gloves, he stared intensely into the distance, a gaze that longtime Tyson enthusiasts recognize as a sign of something significant approaching. Accompanying the image was a straightforward yet powerful message: "We win," setting a motivational tone for what lies ahead. Within just hours, the post had attracted over 430K likes and thousands of comments. Despite the buzz, some fans remain apprehensive about Tyson's health as he prepares for the fight, particularly given his age. In the midst of it all, Tyson's business partner and CEO of Karma Hold Company, the parent company of Tyson 2.0, interjected with a somber forecast. Wilkes remarked, "The end of Jake Paul. If Iron Mike can channel the same ferocity that knocked Marvis Frazier into another dimension in under 30 seconds back in 1986, he'll be unstoppable once more." While Paul has only suffered a single defeat in his career, that loss was to boxer Tommy Fury. With Tyson's vast experience in the ring, there's hope he can replicate that success. Even with the significant disparity in fighting experience, Paul benefits from his youth and vitality in his matchup against 58-year-old Tyson, who retired from the ring back in 2005 following 2 defeats. Due to this, there has been a great deal of criticism surrounding the fight, which will take place over 8 2-minute rounds while using 14-ounce gloves. Legendary trainer Freddie Roach worked with Mike Tyson during the twilight of his career, following his knockout defeat to Lennox Lewis in Memphis, Tennessee. Under Roach's guidance, Tyson secured a swift first-round knockout against Clifford Etienne in their initial bout. However, his momentum faltered in the next fight as he was stopped in the 4th round by Danny Williams. Tyson's career came to a close with one last fight, a defeat to Kevin McBride, where he chose to retire on his stool. On the experience, Roach told DAZN, "Mike's a great guy and I did train him for a couple of fights before the end of his career, but his heart wasn't really in it at that time. If he didn't knock you out in a couple of rounds, he'd get a torn meniscus in his knee or an injury somewhere here or there." He further added, "But the thing is, Mike is a great puncher. He trains very hard. Being with Mike for 2 fights, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Catching him on the mitts was very difficult and a lot of fun. Getting whacked by Mike Tyson with the right hook isn't my favorite spot, but I lived through it." Roach has also witnessed Paul spar, albeit only momentarily, in his wild card gym. He discussed it with Fight Hype. He added, "The kid's okay. You know, a club fighter? I don't know. I've never really met him. He was in my gym and they wanted to work, use the ring. Okay, go ahead." In a recent interview with KO Artist Sports, Roach shared his thoughts on the upcoming fight, but his outlook on his former fighter's chances seemed less than hopeful. He said, "I train Tyson. I like Mike a lot. He does come by my gym once in a while to say hello and visit and stuff. All of a sudden, this fight's coming up against a younger, maybe stronger man. Well, I can't say stronger because Tyson's very strong, but the last 2 fights I trained Tyson for, he didn't do that well. I hope he does well because he's a good friend of mine." Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.